Hi guys, for your e-learning on Monday, April 22nd, the instructions are posted there on Classroom, but just a reminder to complete an entry in your independent reading journal. And that's just 2 to 4 sentences about the book that you're reading on your own, and use those literature sentence starters to help you. I'm going to read chapter 23 aloud here, and then pause, and then I'll also read chapter 24. And the last thing you'll need to do is just give me a short little summary of chapter 4, or chapter 24. That's the chapter when they're actually going to perform their show. So to kind of recap from Thursday, when you guys read, as they were pulling into New Jersey, Homer sees his brother Harold. Says, the real surprise is waiting on the dock, standing tall in his new blue uniform. My brother Harold, big as life. So now on to chapter 23, the sound of guns. Soon as the ferry bumps the pier, I'm off and running, thinking this surely is my lucky day. My adventures have barely begun, and I've already found my big brother. It wasn't so bad, just an abduction or two, and being robbed and thrown in with the pigs, and joining the caravan of miracles, and being boiled by Indians. Already I'm improving the story in my mind with the purpose of making Harold laugh. He don't laugh that much, being a serious-minded person, but when he does, it feels like someone gave you a silver dollar, because it's bright and shiny and rings true. I come all this way just to hear it. Harold, Harold, it's me, Homer. I fight my way through a sea of young men in new uniforms, dark blue 4-button coats and sky blue trousers and forage caps, and each man with a black canvas haversack to carry his food. Most of the Union Army seems to be milling about, waiting for trains to take them south. It's like a blue wool forest that smells of sweat and boot polish. Figure if I can get to Harold before he gets on a war train, we can fix it so he don't have to go. We being me and Professor Fleabottom, since he knows men in the Army and can maybe help us. Harold! Harold! At last he turns to my voice. Up close, the face is wrong. My stomach flip-flops something awful, and I nearly trip and fall because it ain't Harold. It's another boy who could be him, on account of his size and the way he stands. You're not Harold? I say, stopping to catch my breath. Private Thomas Finch, 15th Massachusetts, he says, voice cracking. Sorry, looking for my brother, Harold Figg, of Pine Swamp, Maine. Private Finch shakes his head. I believe the Maine regiments that mustered here have gone ahead. Your brother may be among them. Okay, I pant, blinking the sweat from my eyes. Thanks. I'm about to go find Professor Fleabottom and the wagons when I'm struck by inspiration. Private Finch, I say, turning back to tug at his stiff woolen sleeve. If you happen to come across Harold Figg of Pine Swamp, Maine, would you please tell him to get on home? His little brother Homer is dying. Will you tell him that? If I meet him, certainly, says Private Finch. But it is a big war. How will I know him? Looks a lot like you, except Harold is slightly taller and stronger and better looking. Is that a fact? Says Private Finch with a toothy grin. I'll see what I can do, Homer. You are Homer Figg, right? I shrug. Maybe I am. I must say, my young friend, that you look remarkably healthy for a boy who is dying. Never mind that. Will you tell him? Of course. After glancing around and grinning to himself, he snaps me a fine salute. Thank you, Homer Figg. I am reminded to write a letter to my own dear little brother, who is slightly taller and stronger and better looking than you, and who would no doubt fake his own death to have me safe at home. He melts away into the blue wool forest. A moment later, the tattooed lady has me by the collar. She's puffing like I am, but fighting her way through the crowd. Thought we'd lost you, boy. She tips up my chin, looks me in the eye. What's this? Have you been crying? I shake my head, and she knows enough to say no more. That evening, the Caravan of Miracles puts on the first show since I joined the company. We're 10 hard miles from the terminal in New Jersey, in low, weedy country not far from the sea, and come upon an army encampment. Must be 100 white canvas tents set up in the tall grass, and the sound of rolling gunfire and shouting men just over the horizon. Is there a battle? I want to know, standing up in my seat to see better. Is this the war? The war is still some distance away, Professor Fleabottom explains. These are new recruits, training to fight. We set up our wagons in a little area surrounded by sandy bluffs, which he says is to keep us from the wind, but which also means we're hard to see if you don't know where to look. A medicine show is not always welcomed by the generals, he tells me. They think it distracts from the business of war, whereas we believe that these young men deserve a bit of fun at the end of a long, hard day. Thus, we strive to entertain, but with the utmost discretion. While we unload gear and get ready for the show, the two men who drive the other wagons approach the army camp on foot and let the recruits know where we are and what might be expected of us. Me and Minerva are in charge of setting out the lamps and torches for when it gets dark and putting up the banners and flags. A warm wind lifts the silky banners and makes it look like the words are dancing on air. Fleabottom's Miracle Elixir, the totally tattooed lady from Cannibal Island, the talented tumbling Brillo brothers, the amazing pig boy. The really amazing thing is, I can't wait to see the show, and I'm in it. All right, I'm going to pause here and start a new screencast for Chapter 24. You may want to look at the Google form, which has the question on it for Chapter 24. I'm just going to make it one question and have you summarize in 3 to 5 sentences what Chapter 24 is about. And it's basically going through their first show.